Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Restless Dead face off against one another as the Tomb Kings and the Vampire Coast engage in battle. Today we have a matchup from my Rise of the Mortarchs tournament where we have ShetlandApache against leading the Tomb Kings against the Vampire Coast led by Mofet. So for the Tomb King army, we have quite the lineups indeed. So spread off from end to end, we have just a line of Tomb Guard, more Tomb Guard. We just have Skeleton Warriors all the way down the line, as well as the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, and just infantry as far as the eye can see. We have Carrion in each of the far corners here. We also have Skeleton Horsemen vanguarded all the way across the map. We have Cetra the Imperishable on his kitty and kind of protected by a couple horsemen as well. So he is bringing... Let's take a quick little look at that. So yeah, we have Neru's Incantation of Protection, Dejaf's Incantation of Cursed Blades. Kind of paired that with the Restless Dead. I'll do some very good healing, just spamming out those two spells. And now for the forces of the Vampire Coast, we have Count Noctilus on his Necrofex Colossus with the Drowned Dead Invocation of Nahek. We have Pit of Shades, we have Wraithstorm, and Captain's Wrath's Moondial. We also have 3 Carronades. We have 2 deck droppers, the bomber variant. We have 2 Sirens, 2 regular bombers. We have 2 deck gunners. And then we have a line of zombie pirate deckhand mobs in the front, all of the regular variant, and a few scurvy dogs surrounding the field as well. So let's get this show on the way. So initially, these scurvy dogs on the very far flank are caught out by some Nehekran horsemen. I mean, you can't really fault Mofet for that in the slightest. It's just bad luck having them spawn so close to those horsemen. But these Carrion now are pressuring these deck droppers fairly heavily right now, and they're engaging as now the deck gunners are both turning around. It looks like both are firing at some Carrion, and those Carrion are going to be trying to shut down those bombers very quickly. And we have another unit coming in, probably either looking to shut down these deck gunners or some other of the gunpowder lines. And they are going to be swooping in, landing onto the deck gunners. They're taking a shot across the bow from Noctilus as they descended. But the cannons are singing and the guns are firing on all sides. Right now, looks like the Carrions are going to be able to take out these bombers. I think those bombers probably would have been a little better had they just been just the regular variant on the ground, so then they're not so susceptible to these air attacks. Now Siren's trying to screen out these horsemen as they try and get onto the Carronades. Those horsemen are able to dodge the Sirens as they now look to be getting a charge into the back of at least one of the unit's Carronades, and the frontline engagement is now underway as the bombers are firing in, doing some very good damage against the frontline troops of the Tomb Kings. But the backline of the Vampire Coast is in dire straits. All the Carrion have taken out both of the bombers. The last one has dropped, and the Carronades are now getting all shut down from all angles. We have a mass amount of infantry from the Tomb Kings are now collapsing on their position as well. So these deck gunners are now being shut down. And yeah, just being collapsed from on all fronts. And now Cetra has joined into the fray as Noctilus is dropping down a summon. I believe that is from the Captain's Wrath Moondial. So a summon dropping it right into the middle of this engagement. It looks like those bombers are not going to be surviving either. But yeah, currently the engagement for the Tomb Kings is going very well. Getting a nice surround off on a lot of their engagements. The Carrion are doing very good work, kind of shutting down these key infantry and getting those bombers offline, getting those deck droppers offline as well. Now Noctilus is firing over into Cetra. But right now it is definitely looking like the Tomb Kings are in a commanding position. They have been able to take off really all of the threats Let's see. So yeah, but a nice spell being dropped down, catching 2 units, the Tomb Guard and the Skeleton Warriors, doing some pretty good damage there. Very cool spell as well. But yeah, the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion kind of just doing some little work against these deckhand mobs, and Cetra's going to try and quickly break them, while these Tomb Guard make sure that these bombers are going offline as well. But yeah, now a Wraith Storm's coming down onto Cetra here, doing a bit of damage, but I mean, on his kitty, he's going to be pretty resistant to that spell in particular. Now, yeah, Noctilus is still trying to fire in, trying to pick off, going right through this line of Tomb Guard. Makes a good target to be shooting at, but it looks like the forces of the Tomb King are surrounding the coast position fairly well. Another summon going down, trying to screen out the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion. That's one unit that the coast really doesn't want to have on Noctilus right now. I mean, overall he'll win that engagement, but the poison that they do will very much hamper him and have him be susceptible to other forms of damage, like especially from Cetra. Pair up the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion with Cetra on Noctilus, and Noctilus isn't going to be doing very well in that kind of engagement. But the Sirens are still doing fairly well. The Tomb Kings really don't have much in the ways of being able to deal with them. They just kind of have to overwhelm those units. So getting a rear charge off of them will do fairly well. Nice. Another Pit of Shades coming in. Doing fairly well. Again, on the nice Regiment of Renown. Keep them away. But now Noctilus is getting surrounded as his lines are breaking. And Cetra is just kind of cleaning up the surrounding units while his Shaft Infantry is able to just muck up Noctilus. Noctilus looks like he's a Wraith Storm, it looks like. Or is that going... Nope, that is the Ushapti Summons. So yeah, the Ushapti Summons coming down, and a Wraith Storm as well. Yeah, the Ushapti Summon coming down into the middle with Noctilus. They'll be shutting down him pretty well. These units of Sirens are crumbling away, as are those. So Noctilus looks like he is going to be standing alone against the tide of the Tomb Kings. And especially, yeah, with Cetra, I don't think Noctilus is going to be able to really do a whole lot here. Losing the backline so quickly just really made it rough for him, as, yeah, now Cetra is committing to that fight. And I think, yeah, the Tomb King's army losses are triggering, and that will be our match as Noctilus falls into the ground, surrounded by the undead, but those not of his command. But anyways, that was a very good matchup. That was a really unorthodox build for Shetland there, mostly on how he deployed it, where he just deployed extremely wide, all the way off into the sunset. But taking a look at the builds here, yeah, the Carrion did very well, as they were able to shut down really all of the ranged units with just them, and then getting the charges in from the Necron Horsemen as well. And then once those were all off the field, that's just when Cetra came in, and at that point, nothing really could threaten him. Usually, taking Cetra against the coast is a pretty risky proposition, because, yeah, you have a bunch of carronades that can do a lot of damage if they focus fire, and all the gunpowder that they usually bring. Now, if looking more at the build that Mofet brought here, generally, I think that this matchup is very favored for the Vampire Coast. And the biggest reason why I think that is because the Vampire Coast has Luther Harkin. And that is generally what I would consider the best pick when you're going up against the Tomb Kings, is because when you have Luther up on his Terrorgeist, there's not really a whole lot that the Tomb Kings can bring to challenge him in any shape or form. Especially if you look at this army, there's 0 ranged. So I guess Luther would just be able to sit in the air and just take pot shots, etc., all day long, get breath attacks, all his stuff. So he wouldn't have any threat to him until he was out of ammo. And anything that the Tomb Kings would be able to bring is pretty much countered by the carronades, bringing a bunch of gunpowder units. The bombers do very well against any infantry that the Tomb Kings can bring. Sirens are actually not a bad pick here, because the Tomb Kings, unless they're bringing Archon, really don't have a method of doing good magical damage. Now, the deck gunners, they got taken out very quickly, and I don't necessarily would think that the deck gunners are the best picks here. I would have gone more just going for take out these deck gunners, go for some handguns, and I think that would have been a little bit more versatile. You would have a bit more of a higher volume of fire, so to protect against like the carrion or something like that. And the deck droppers with bombers, as I mentioned during the video, I wouldn't have them as deck droppers. I just take them out and just make them the regular zombie pirate gunnery mob with bombers. But otherwise, that was a very good match indeed, and I hope you all enjoyed, and have a good one.